It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
What? Yeah. And a very good Sunday morning for this September 18th, 2022. Lee Sanders here from 401mania.com and the RCWR show. I am joined along with my good buddies, Julian Cannon of the Wrestling Court, Nocturnal, and Digit Day. And also my brother-in-arms, Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup. What is up, guys?
Hey, how's it going, buddies?
I'm good. I'm still alive. I look like I'm in a fucking dungeon right now. Sorry for my usual. I wish I was in my usual setup right now, but I put my son to sleep in a room, so I'm good.
No, it's all good, man. It's Sunday morning. I mean, instead of church, I'm here in the Church of Podcasts, ready to talk some wrestling and everything else, man. How you boys?
Praise Jeebus.
Before we even get to wrestling, have y'all been following the whole G4 saga?
Oh, man. Yes. I wasn't sure what the hell we were going to be talking about, because one thing I like, and it follows up from what we did at AwesomeCon a couple of months ago, like, we really don't need any preparation. We can just come and just do the goddamn thing.
Sure, man.
Yeah.
That G4 shit, I've yet to talk about it. What a travesty. I see everybody just jumping out there saying, hell, it should have never came back. And I'm saying to myself, and why exactly? And as I'm looking for that answer, I've not seen any definitive, okay, well, that's a very valid point, because the main idea I keep seeing is, oh, it's stupid. It should have never came back. I'm like, no, you know what? Nostalgia rules. Nostalgia is profitable. Julian, you know this very well because you cover entertainment. Nostalgia, there's always money to be made off of nostalgia. I thought they did right with the preparation marketing plan before G4. So the intent was there to, okay, we're going to start this off real nice and slow. But I don't think it really had anything to do with Frost. I don't really think it had anything to do with her. I think when it's all said and done, they did too much way too soon, and they should have just more tighter.
I'd like to add to that, because you can do nostalgia as much as you want, but how much mileage can you get with that? Because the ones that are watching G4 now, they were 14, 15 years old back 2004, 2005. So they grew up. I don't think G4 did. And the fact that we have YouTube here now, everyone's doing pretty much the same thing that G4 is doing. So I kind of saw this a mile away when they came back last year.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, is when they came back right off the bat to controversy with all the woke and everything else like that coming out of it. G4, when it was initially around, was a lot more lenient of a show. It was actually a little bit more of and I hate to say this, but it was more of a guy's show. It was geared towards men for the most part, not completely, but, it was absolutely aware of who its demographic was. This last time they came around, it was almost like they were trying to beat people over the head with it. And like you said, YouTube's been around, Twitch has been around. There's so many other platforms that give people the ability to literally host their own G4 shows themselves, and better. So I think, yeah, there is a part where nostalgia plays a role in this, but at the same time, they didn't do anything to change with the time. So what do people expect?
Right. And in addition to that, the last thing that you should ever do is shit on your fan base
Yeah,
because
alienating your audience. It's
yeah.
like the number one. Go fuck yourself. You know.
I mean, right. I'm like, I've always respected the hell out of Adam Sessler, but to just see how he and a couple others have been handling that whole situation, it's just, oof. Yeah, you can miss me with that. Have you seen the numbers on their YouTube channel? I mean,
Not just their YouTube channel, their Twitch channel too. The viewers has been falling consistently for the
yeah,
last 6 months.
yeah. You're like, what the fuck? I even looked at their D-Expo cover. So because I'm like, well, surely their D-Expo covers, that's gonna get them some big numbers. No, no. Like their YouTube, I don't know what their Twitch had did, but last I had saw their YouTube, they only got like maybe if they're lucky, 6,000 views. I'm going, wait a minute, something's going on here. So it leads me to believe, like, were you guys really bringing in solid numbers and you truly alienated your fan base over these past several months, or did you do some shady shit behind the scenes and you were paying for views?
I mean,
And let's also talk about the fact that they have 200 people on their staff. Why does a YouTube channel need 200 people?
Yes.
well, because they're still trying to run it like a network. So they were thinking that if they had the production values that was expected of them back when they were doing television, it's a whole different prospect. But it's YouTube is surprisingly forgiving when it comes to production. There's a lot of things that you can do on just the base level alone, just using the inbound software that they have that can actually do a lot for you. The levels of production that are needed for like network shows versus a YouTube or a Twitch streamer, completely night and day. I mean, you don't need individual boom mic operators and boy grips, you know, like there's a lot of differences between the two formats. And I think that in one sense, they probably thought when they brought this in that this was like going to be big and everybody was going to jump on board. And oh, thank goodness, G4 is back. But I mean, if you want to take a look at it, there are bigger companies than G4 falling all around us. I mean, look at the tragic downfall of HBO.
Yeah.
I mean, HBO.
I don't want to get to that shit show today.
But it's crazy to me. And maybe that's a segue for you guys. But I mean, it's absolutely crazy to me what's going on with HBO. And I mean, they're in the middle of House of Dragons. The fact that what is it? Who's the parent company now of HBO?
Warner
Media.
No. Oh. Who's the other one?
The other one.
It's not Discovery. It's another one. Shoot. Well, anyways, so the big rumor mill is now they want to take all the Game of Thrones episodes and they want to cut them down to 20 minutes to make it more friendly for mobile viewing. And I mean, this is like the big brain ideas is like taking something that's an icon and just ripping it to shreds. So every episode's going to be like 3 episodes now. And they're just tripling the amount of work that they're doing just so that it can be in bite-sized elements. And it's like, it seems unnecessary. It seems like when you're talking about stuff like that, and let's also be fair to HBO too, what also killed them was having movies like Dune, having all these movies directly at home and the theater at the same time. It's like, who the hell's going to go to the theater if they're just going to sit at home and watch it on HBO, you know?
Yeah.
So.
That's kind of an interesting segue too, because let me ask you guys, what do you think about where we are right now with the current state of films? To Mish's point about now you're in a nice position. Well, shit, I don't need to go and see that movie in the theaters. I got my 72-inch 4K TV. Well, some of us, I can just kick back and watch that, through a HBO Max or through whatever, insert. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that it's pushing us more towards being even more antisocial in this society? Because you just from the grocery store to whatever, you see less and less of that human interaction. How you guys feel about these tactics that the Hollywood industries are using now to have the big movies go down on the big screen? Correction, on the small screen.
I kind of did a story about this. It's going to be on DigiDay in a few more days.
Mhm.
What we saw in the pandemic is going to be over by the time it's December this year.
Mhm.
Studios are going to want to get everyone back to the theaters. So next year, we're not going to see any of that on platforms or on streaming at first. I mean, Peacock is going to be the last one to do this, but we're not seeing this for any other platform.
Mhm.
Really, Disney's going to stop doing it because Disney made a killing
Yeah.
by doing that stuff with that Cruella DeVille and a couple other ones. Like really made them gangbusters amount of money from it too.
Black Widow.
Yeah, it's yeah, and all the Disney exclusives, even though Disney.
Yeah, that was last year though. This year we're 2022. We haven't seen a Disney film that came out on Plus first before it went to theaters yet this year.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
I haven't, yeah. But yeah, no, I don't know. I think getting people back in theaters is a nice thing, but I'm not going to go see the new movies in the theaters. I still like the little screen. You know, I was a guy that was using the red box back in the day. You know what I mean? I had no problem doing that. And I still prefer going there and grabbing a movie every once in a while on a Blu-ray or a DVD and watching it on the little screen. So if that's what we're going back to, I'm fine with that. But the one thing I've liked about theaters, and I don't know if it's around your areas too, but it's especially around Chicago and Chicagoland, there's a lot of theaters that are playing old movies now. Like they've completely retconned the whole thing. So instead of going there to see some cutting edge movie, which it could be absolutely awful, they're filling a lot of that time now with classics. And you're starting to see classics. Like I was just watching Rush Hour 1 and 2 at the theaters not that long ago. You know, I mean, that's been around forever, but it was cool as hell to see back on the big screen. So if that's kind of the direction where theaters are going or theater franchises are going in order to catch up or, maybe just kind of bring the money back, I'm okay with that. I think it's actually kind of cool because you can have a community, based around a theater, because obviously every movie theater isn't really right next to each other, but you can have a community out there and you can have special events like an all-day Godzilla series, and then you would bring people out for that. And it kind of gives the theater element back to the people, as opposed to, I mean, if you remember before COVID, it was so corporate. Every single theater you went to was always showing the exact same thing. There was no art, there was no indie, there was no grindhouse, there was no other level of picture you were going to see. It's like AMC, Lowe's, what's the other one? Not Fandango, but there's others too.
Regal.
Yeah, right.
I was about to say Regal too.
So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of
Showcase
in favor
as well.
I'm absolutely in favor of it going back to the big screen, but for me as a person, I'll deal with the little side stuff.
Agreed. Yeah, it's just interesting these times that we're in. But that article, when you got that coming out, Julian?
The next few days, just in case of no other trend story overtakes it.
Nice.
Okay. So what did you boys watch the season premiere of WoW yet or no?
Oh, I'm so upset. I missed it because I had my time wrong. No, literally, because my time is wrong. Like the one thing I was totally terrified of was missing it because I'd have the time wrong, and I sure enough totally missed it because I had the time wrong. So
any kind of show that beats all the CM Punk news, I'm fine with, because I'm done talking about it.
Yes.
I'm fucking done.
Yes. I can't wait to go to Mindy's though. I am going to Mindy's. I promise you that. I'm going to Mindy's. What did you guys think about that WWE Crown Jewel press conference from the other day?
Awesome. It's exactly what Tony Khan should have watched to realize, oh shit, this is how I do it. Loved it. Roman Reigns is very great on the stage talking. We had all the belts on the freaking stage too. Sorry for the background noise. People are downstairs in the lobby. But yeah, it was very good.
Yeah, no, it was very well done. And I totally agree with you, Julian. It's exactly how a press conference should be done. I almost feel like it was, all right, you guys keep screwing up your media scrum. Let's show you how this is done. And it was fantastic. Logan Paul, once again, just absolute shit talker, and it looked good and it was funny. And even though he is the table now,
yeah, Matthew's gonna have a field day.
that's gonna be a closing segment for a while. But yeah, no, Roman, all the belts on the table. Paul Heyman did a fantastic job because of course Paul Heyman does. He's like bred for the role to be in these kind of media scrums and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it looked good. everything you hoped it would be. And, you know, as far as the match goes, I've already seen the backlash. Like, what is Logan Paul doing? Look, Logan Paul has already surprised us by having a good match in WWE with The Miz, couple of them. He's a good talker. He has a presence. He's a well-known figure to a lot of people. So I think it's really weird when fans throw backlash at that. Am I expecting Logan Paul to take the belt and run with it?
No, he ain't taking that belt, man.
Why?
Because he's not taking the belt. Who thinks he's going to actually do it?
No, but I'm throwing this out there.
I just want to know if the match is actually going to be good.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm throwing that out there as and trying to alleviate these people's fears that don't even want Logan Paul in the match. I'm like, there's absolutely no reason we can't have a celebrity match. Look, you know, Bad Bunny did fantastic. Logan Paul did fantastic. WWE seems to be vetting a lot of these stars that they're bringing in when it comes to the ring now. And I don't know if that was a Vince McMahon decision. I don't know if that was a Triple H or a Dunn or whoever decision, but it seems, and Pat McAfee, how can I take out Pat McAfee? Like, all of these guys have done really well. Like, WWE's track record, and I'm sure you guys can both agree, has been pretty crappy when it comes to putting celebs in the ring, from like Snooki to Pete Rose. I mean, you're not looking for like these great matches out of these people, but now it's like, wow, look at that. Look at these random celebrities that do really well in the ring. It's like, I'm all for it. If we're going to start getting competent people to step in the ring, or competent athletes to step in the ring, I don't need them to be Bret Hart. But if they can give me a passable, enjoyable match, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need them to be fucking Christopher Daniels or anybody like that.
It's funny you mentioned Bret Hart, because I'm actually, first time ever, I'm going to be meeting him next month down in, I think it's Winchester, Virginia.
Nice.
Oh, awesome. He's great. He's
he's
I've met him before.
nice.
Yeah, he's doing a meet and greet. So I'm like, I told the wifey, I said, this is what we're doing. She goes, okay, how much? I said, oh, it was only, that's actually a pretty good deal. I'm like, yeah, it was like 150 total.
Nice.
Right. Yeah. 150 total for the combo and get the inscription and all of that. You know, it's weird seeing the backlash about Logan Paul, because I did a live watch along. It got banned in countries like Bangladesh, Russia, India. I'm just like, okay, as long as it's not Canada, USA, like we're good. We're good. Right. And after the watch along, because I actually showed what WWE was streaming. So I showed it, we were reacting to it, and then I hung around afterwards. And it was interesting seeing people's reaction to it. To Mish's point, there was a lot of backlash. And I said to people, well, wait a minute, think for a second. Are they supposed to have Logan Paul show up and do something at Extreme Rules? Because that's Philadelphia. He's going to get his fucking ass booed out of the arena.
Right.
No. What they're doing is strictly a marketing move. Right? They got to sell that crown jewel. They got to make that Saudi prince happy. The track record for these past couple of Saudi shows, WWE has been going, okay, you don't care about these Saudi shows? We kind of hear you. Okay, well, we're going to do some stuff where maybe we'll make some titles change. We'll stack the card where, damn, I should have watched it.
You think they're going to do title changes at Crown Jewel?
This is
I think at least two of them will be, but not for the Universal title. And people still need to gear up, because this deal's for the next 8 or 7 more years.
Right. I think people's outrage against the whole Crown Jewel thing needs to relax a little bit. I understand where it stems from. I mean, people can go all the way back to, Khashoggi and, that whole mess with the public relations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you can go back to, some of what the prince has done, that's against what Americans or our culture would deem as appropriate. And we understand that. But I do believe, and I know this sounds awfully marky of me for the company, but I really do believe that WWE, even though it is a vested interest and it is a financial interest, I do believe them when they say that they want to go there and make things, or make our entertainment available to them, to kind of show them that there's a different side of the world doing things. And I'm like, I'm totally cool with that. And I mean, I understand, Sammy's not going to be there again because Sammy has personal politics, which is fine, and other wrestlers won't go. But man, I don't think it's a bad thing that we outreach to different countries. And if international shows show anything to the fans, look at how well Clash at the Castle did. I mean, they broke all of their records financially and otherwise. And it's like, how does WWE, especially a Nick Khan led WWE, not look at the amount of money and potential in just this one spin-off show, and especially the amount of backlash and outrage that people had over Drew losing at home? How do they not look at that and go, oh, we found some real money in this, and not start executing it? Look, NXT UK, it wasn't good, guys. it wasn't good.
Not only that wasn't good. It didn't bring in the money. It didn't bring in the viewers. It was only good for a segmented part of the audience, but not for the entire, as they say, masses.
But they proved that it wasn't because that fans internationally don't want WWE. They just didn't want NXT UK. Right. So if WWE starts utilizing this, and this is what I was even saying with Joe on Wrestling Soup, I'm like, if they start segmenting it to the point where they start bringing their actual top talents internationally and put it on pay-per-views, put it on events as opposed to just random house shows. The Beast from the East tour is probably one of the most fond memories I have of an international show. And it wasn't just because Michael Cole and Byron Saxton were on fire together, which was still to this day the most amazing thing to see those guys. But they need to start doing that, because not only does it give people internationally a chance to actually see WWE, I get infected watching their happiness, watching them cheer for people that you watch them show up in Buffalo, and they have a big angle and people are just very barely clapping and stuff like that. I think we're spoiled here in the States sometimes. So it's nice to see these huge crowd reactions. It's nice to see these sing-alongs when Bailey shows up. It's I don't know, man. I kind of miss the old element of wrestling, and I think that them doing more international stuff is a chance for them to bring that back. So yeah, long story short, I guess I'm really hoping that WWE does more international stuff too.
Now, speaking of companies doing pretty good, let's look at some of the positives that's been coming from AEW. I mean, despite all the crap that's gone down with the media scrum and the fight and all that, past 2 weeks now, they've been doing pretty good, at least for Dynamite. The Dynamite numbers have been pretty solid. What did they do this past Wednesday? At 1 point?
I think 1.1.
I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's their highest since last October. I'm trying to remember, was this week's main event that ROH belt on the line, or was that last week?
No, this week
that was the previous.
Was the Blackpool Combat Club finally taking it. So they started off with Jon Moxley and Sammy Guerrero.
I was about to say, because why would they put that shit on the main event?
Right. Right. No, the main event was Jericho and
it's Jericho and
Brian Danielson.
Jericho and Danielson, yeah, which was fantastic.
Oh, dude, I love that whole thing.
Yeah.
Mox and Sammy don't gel great together. Like it is what it is. But the fact that
hold on, Mitch. Of course they don't. Did you look at the size difference between them two?
Well,
the fuck, man. Every time they put this guy on the screen next to one of the tall guys, I just think to myself, get this kid out of the ring. Please get this child out of here. But says the same for most of the roster too.
But Danielson and Jericho gave you exactly the kind of match you expected. A lot of back and forth, a little technical,
they did.
Little brawl. It was nice, man. And I like the idea of, Regal's group, Blackpool Combat Club with Cesaro and even Yuta. And all of a sudden now you have this little split, because I think that it's one of the more important groups. Like, the Appreciation Society and everything else was fine and dandy. And now that we've gotten rid of the Omega and the Bucks for a little bit, it's about time that you have another group kind of take center stage. Dude, I ain't got zero problems with Blackpool Combat Club, like zero. I like it. I like the group together. I like both of the guys. I like all three of the guys. Wheeler Yuta is like, well, whatever. And Regal's.
I got some things to say about that Wheeler Yuta guy.
Oh damn!
Dude, he needs that group more than the group needs him, because without him without that group, what's he gonna do? He has no fucking flavor in him whatsoever. Yeah, he's a great wrestler, but what is he? Tell me, what is a Wheeler Yuta?
He's nothing, man. You know what? And I was joking about this too, but maybe you guys feel about this. Like, this is one of those fantasy scenarios, but it's always been something that's bothered me. Rampage doesn't do great, right?
No.
For the most part. I mean, the time slop, yeah. The time is a little bit sloppy. But it's like, wouldn't you feel like with Tony Khan's acquired ROH, would the show be better if they just rebranded it ROH and took a lot of these AEW guys that either had ROH ties or look like they belong in these pure matches on a Rampage instead?
Yeah, they should do. I want them to, but I think Warner Media does not want that to happen.
Yeah.
See, my whole thing, because you guys know I'm always every Friday, I'm writing up live recaps and all that for the site on Rampage. The thing, I like that idea, Mish, but another direction that you can go, and to Tony Khan's credit, he has been trying, at least with the past 2 Rampages, he's going, okay, you know what? I've got serious depth in my roster. I can do really good plug and play here on Rampage to the point. Let me focus on 2 marquee main matchups, and I can build around that. And if you go back and look at this past Friday and the week before, you're like, okay, you know what? This is good. Here's the problem, though. You're putting more emphasis on a ROH championship. You know, most fans still don't give a fuck about ROH, right? It's like, why am I watching?
Exactly.
Why am I watching an AEW show and you're presenting me ROH? Like, I don't really, which is why, and I was calling for this some weeks back, and I'm glad I'm seeing it now.
Yeah.
Now you got Jericho going, a ROH World Championship doesn't sound too bad. So here's the thing, the payoff needs to be, if it means ROH ultimately gets a TV deal, because look at what we got going on here. We got Jericho as our champion. Look what he did for AEW at the very beginning. Come on, this lightning strike twice. You got to get on this. Get in on it while it's getting good.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much about the time slot. I think it's just more about the structure and trying to do your best not to be AEW dark on YouTube, but now you're just on TNT.
Well, here's the thing. First off, yeah, I would axe Dark Elevation and make that an ROH show. I would take Rampage and make that an ROH show. I don't know if Time Warner is really against the idea, because all it would be a brand name change for the show. They already have the championships in rotation. They have the talent that's in AEW. So them going underneath an ROH branded show is, in my opinion, at this point, is like SmackDown versus Raw. It's not like you can't have the brands intermingle. It's not like you can't have ROH matches on Wednesday. But the idea of giving it a separate identity might be like new life, because that's what a lot of fans look at AEW. AEW did a lot of dumb things that people seem to forget about. Their relationships with a lot of the indies, from GCW to TNA, did everyone else zero favors. And as a matter of fact, kind of embarrassed some of the talent in those companies that were supposed to be, stock guys, stock wrestlers, and made them look weak for losing to different AEW guys. Meanwhile, AEW gets all the benefit and none of the detriment. So the idea of repainting something that's obviously not doing well, and maybe you're right, Lee, too. Maybe it's not the time slot. Maybe because, you go back and you think that there's been a lot of time slots, even back in the day. Look at Saturday night's main event. Those were shown at midnight, and those got gangbuster ratings as opposed to anything that's on TV today. So I don't think you're right. I don't think it's just necessarily the time slot. I think there's a lot more to it, but man, there's so much stuff you can do with that. And you can actually paint Tony Khan in a good light, because his handling of ROH so far has been pretty bad. Now, I'm not saying that the events were bad. Actually, my favorite AEW event has been that ROH event. I actually really enjoyed that. But the fact that he had problems with trademarks and copyrights, and when it comes to the ownership, he was selling ROH before he even had complete ownership of it with
Sinclair.
Yeah, Sinclair. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking Kerry Silkin. Jesus. Old brain working. But yeah, no, I'm thinking like, if you breathe new life into it and stuff like that with ROH, I think you're going to endear yourself to a lot of fans. that remember ROH even going back into the mid 2000s, and you have the talent. CM Punk, obviously, whenever he comes back or doesn't or whatever, that's one thing. But you still have Bryan Danielson. You still have Samoa Joe. You still have Claudio Castagnoli. You still have like a lot of these cornerstones of the old ROH plus all the newer guys. You know, so I just don't see why you would have all that history and not use it and not really get it into the fans, because ROH has been on TV, but not on the level of Time Warner.
Speaking of history, every time when I see ROH being brought up as part of an AEW discussion, it's always about the video library. I'm like, you can't just put all of that on a streaming service. They got to clean up all the shit that we used to see back in the 2000s. They got to clean up all the licensed music, probably also mute a lot of the language or put a disclaimer. That's a lot of footage there that probably it's going to take years or months to clean up.
No,
you can't just put
years.
all that. Yeah, years. You can't just put all that shit on there and expect it to be on a streaming service on day one.
Look how long it took for WWE to finally make the network. It took them 6 years from when they initially started talking about it. And then when they went to Peacock, you know, you had NBC literally with like teams of people just re-encoding everything from the network to make it Peacock friendly. And I can't see Time Warner investing that kind of money and that kind of manpower in order to clean up stuff from the ROH days. Dear Lord. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love that job in a heartbeat just to clean up the audio, but I know that's a 10-year gig. You know, I mean, that's a long time. Well, depending on how many people you have too, but I mean, some of that quality was literally filmed on like what, 8mm cameras?
You know? Those tiny ass camcorders.
Yeah. As we are just going with the flow, I know Julian, he has a hard stop at the 45-minute mark.
You know, I think I could do another 15 more minutes.
15 more minutes? Okay. Okay, great. Let me pick you guys' brain on something. What do you think? I've been playing around with this idea. You tell me if it's yay or nay. What do you think about the idea of Stokely Hathaway trying to recruit Powerhouse Hobbs? Because I'm just a little surprised he's yet to approach the man. At least just approach him.
Even if he does, what will it do for the group? What will it do for AEW? That's another group of misfits I don't care about.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. Yes. I'm right there with you, Julian. I could care less about Stokely Hathaway and the group of people that need to get out of catering.
It's the fucking circus, man. That's what I think about.
Bad. Powerhouse Hobbs is special. I really didn't like the way him and Starks ended. I know that they continued it this Wednesday a little bit, which felt really bad because Starks came down like all of a sudden he was Dean Ambrose. And he was attacking him like the Shield, and he didn't say anything, and he beat him down.
Then they had a pay-per-view match that looked like a TV quality match. Did nothing for both.
But they did it again this week. They did it again this Wednesday. That's what I'm saying. So it's not good, and it's sad because it's like I really like Powerhouse Hobbs. I really do. I know Joe likes Starks better, and Starks is great, but I want to see Powerhouse Hobbs sadly in WWE. You know what I mean? This is a guy.
I think he'll be there in a few years. Give it 2 more years. Him, Ricky Starks, and probably MJF will be there.
I believe it.
I actually like Stokely Hathaway. He's actually showing me something I didn't even know existed from his NXT days. I'm going, okay, give me some more. And I like seeing this little gremlin looking motherfucker just running around and trying to do his best to recruit people. I like W. Morrissey. I was checking out his stuff in Impact. I think you can actually do some stuff with him. For me, I want to see him try to court Powerhouse Hobbs, because if you're following the storyline, it doesn't make sense that Stokely, okay, I'm trying to go after this person. I'm trying to go after this person. And look at what I'm doing over here. Yet the biggest shark that's out there, you've yet to approach. Right. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You got to at least cross paths with him. And Powerhouse Hobbs says no thanks. And OK, it is what it is. But
yeah, but even the way that they bill themselves, do you really want Hobbs to be a part of that? I mean, they're pretty much.
And I tell this to a lot of dude. I tell this to a lot of my interviews when I'm doing stories for DigiDay. When they give me that PR jargon talk, I just say, OK, what will this do for your brand? What does this fucking group do for AEW?
But I mean, even what the group stands for, the group has pretty much shown themselves to be mercenaries. That's what they are. They come together when they need to come together, and they split apart when they're not around. Like, that's exactly how they marketed themselves this Wednesday. And I'm like, it's.
I'm like, we've seen this already. What does this do for the brand?
This is the job squad from the WWF. That's literally what this is. It's like, I wouldn't want to be a part of that either.
No.
I'm sticking to it, damn it. I don't care. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, if he does join that group, get ready to see him talk less and less and less.
Until
Get ready to see him more on AEW Dark or Dark Elevation, whatever the shit it is. Get ready for that.
Right. How you guys feeling about Penelope Ford? Because goddamn, what she had as a performance on Rampage this week, it really had me go, damn. I didn't know this girl was able to do all this in the ring, to the point AEW, Tony Khan and them, they might have themselves another tier superstar, a higher tier superstar in the making there. Did you guys see her in action?
She was okay.
I saw it, but it means nothing to me because the second, and I repeat, the second she has a feud with Britt Baker, it's it. It's over.
Yeah, Britt Baker's their John Cena for women. That's
yeah.
And I like Britt Baker as a person. I've met her a few times when I'm in junkets, but the way that they book her this strong, not for me.
Yeah.
The women's division actually in both companies is suffering right now, you know, in multiple ways. As far as AEW goes, yeah, Penelope Ford's a good wrestler, but they've had better wrestlers that they've ignored. You know, they had Mercedes Martinez, they had Serena Deeb. You know, look at Ruby Riott, or I'm sorry,
did she get dropped on her head?
Yeah, and it was so scary too, because it wasn't just dropped. It's like her neck twisted and then out, and it was bad. It was awful. And it's kind of like, well, that's what you get when you have these women that are veterans that go up against people that don't know what to do with them or don't know how to handle the move, or et cetera, et cetera. And that's the problem, is that AEW is a big mix of talented individuals and people that need time to cook, you know?
Yeah, because they have a lot of these talent in there that don't know how to respond to no. It's just, hey, let me do my shit here. Let me get my shit in. And they don't know how to respond to no when the older agents are telling them, you got to slow it down.
Right.
Like Jade Cargill, to the point, who do you see? Who would you like to see take that championship off of her? And what would you like to see happen with Jade next?
Well,
if Mercedes Martinez was not injured, I would have to see her take it.
Well, if I wanted to be a dick and just set the world on fire, I'd say bring in Tessa Blanchard, but you know. Could you imagine the hate and the storyline that would come out of that if you had Tessa Blanchard take it off of Jade Cargill?
Oh,
I'm just saying. But I mean, if that's what AEW wants, if they want to provoke these big, you know, controversial storylines, if that's the direction that the company kind of wants to go, man, that's really not a bad one. You know, and Tessa's experienced enough, whether people like her or not, it's regardless. Most people don't, but she's a wrestler. She's a well-trained wrestler. She knows what the fuck she's doing out there. The fact that somebody doesn't take her, the negativity around her and just use her as the ultimate heel is still weird to me. Right. Like I get it. Like on a personal level, people don't want to see this girl eat anymore. You know, and with the hatred going on for Thunder Rosa lately too, it's really weird. This company, the way that they're handling their women, but it's like get your affairs in order. Get this company in order. There's a difference between personal life and business, and in this moment, Tessa's personal life has affected her business. And if it's to the point where people don't want to see her, that's when you put her on TV and just shove her down people's throats till they hate her. Like, genuinely fucking hate her. And how much money would you elicit then? A dying AEW's women division revived by the fact that everybody wants to see Tessa get her ass kicked? You know what I mean? Like, that's good. Yeah. That's good for business. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I don't look at it like, you know, just everybody else saying, oh, well, fuck her. She's a racist. She should die. And it's like, yeah, she's kind of a scumbag, guys, but you know what? She's still a wrestler. And you can use that negativity, you know.
Well, I put a racist in their fucking place last Sunday, but that's a story for another day.
You know,
go for it, man. Sure.
Tessa, I love the hell out of Tessa. I really do, and I like that idea, Mish. But when you watch the season premiere of Wild Women of Wrestling, they let it be crystal clear.
Yeah.
Tessa who? They whitewashed the hell out of her in that season premiere. Okay.
You know what? And I don't doubt that it's false. It's the fault of people like
so what
me.
you're saying is that she's already out the car wash.
They had to, but they had to. WoW is a different. WoW doesn't want to be controversial. Jeannie Buss doesn't want to be controversial anymore. Dave McClain doesn't want to be controversial. That's not the kind of company they're running. They're running a family-friendly-ish women's wrestling company where it's more about the storylines, and this is what it's been forever. This is what the idea has been forever. So when you have somebody like Tessa Blanchard that does all this stupid shit outside, and I mean, come on, when we were talking about Jeannie before, she gave Tessa her own training grounds to teach other people. That's how much this woman loved her and believed in her. I can't imagine how damaged their personal relationship is. Obviously, we heard, earlier in the year before when WoW started their first tapings back when AJ Lee was the breaking news for WoW, how people or other talent in the back couldn't deal with Tessa. And they were having problems. They were all signed to NDAs. So it was like these random leaks, but people were like, we can't stand this girl. She's nuts. She's crazy. And it's kind of like you start hearing that from WoW people, from people that aren't ruined by the way that the wrestling world works for the most part. It's like, oh, that's not good. So the fact that they distance themselves from Tessa doesn't surprise me. But AEW is a total shit show in the back. So why not put somebody like Tessa in there,
Yeah.
Ooh. Before we wrap the bowl on the AEW front, not to give a plug here, but Vince Russo uploaded a video where he and his crew reacted to a lot of the AEW media scrums. It's like a compilation video. Goes for about an hour. Go see some funny shit there.
Good. Vince Russo's a funny guy.
He has his moments, yeah. Vince Russo, he definitely has his moments. Cornette though, all day, every day. Yes. Cornette. And Sean Oliver. Gotta give Sean Oliver a shout out. I like what him and Kevin Nash have been doing as of late. They've been tearing it up. You gotta plug your Thunder Rosa interview because your interview with her came at an interesting time when all that negative gossip about her was being said, to the point you had people that were jumping out there looking at a fucking tweet that says, "It's time for a change." And, they teach you this in broadcasting school, it's like challenge everything. So when you hear that, it's like, okay, what? Changing deodorant, changing clothes, like what? Like, and you got motherfuckers that's just looking at that. Oh, she's leaving AEW. And I was one of the first to show you some love. I said, Thunder Rosa just did an interview with Julian. She was talking about her time in AEW, this outreach program that she has going on. And she was hyping it up all out. Like, Julian, did you, obviously they diffused that situation. They proved that was a bunch of bullshit, but I'm trying to show you some love. Take it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked, the purpose of that interview is that I wanted to dig her mind of what she does outside of the ring. Of course, we talked about a few things about what's going on behind the scenes of AEW. Some of them I couldn't even publish, but it's all about what she does outside of the ring, what she's doing for her own time, how she's dealing with the injury. I mean, she's a good person to speak to. I didn't get a sense that she was lying at all. I know there's been stories about her that's saying that she's lying, but I didn't get that sense, to me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting because we all can relate to this on a personal level? It's interesting. You got motherfuckers, they wish you well, but then when they see that you're doing good, all of a sudden, I mean, we've seen it with Chris Hardwick. That's probably like the most best example of somebody hating and trying to figure out a way to take a motherfucker down. It seems like every single time Thunder Rosa is trying to do a little something, she's minding her own business. We got this crap that's always, it's like, Okay, and what you doing over here?
I feel bad for her. I think she's short end of the stick, man. I mean, I don't know at the end of the day how she is as a person with some of these talents, but you know, the talents that are the ones that have been coming forth and complaining are not people that I put much stock in to begin with. You know, Tony
Exactly.
Storm is been known to have kind of a loose mouth. You know, Britt Baker kind of has reasons to make sure that Thunder Rosa isn't there, and then there's others too. You know, I forgot there was another girl that came out against Thunder Rosa as well, and I think it's a lot of unfounded. Yeah, well, that she's just kind of a piece of dirt too, you know. But
who's that now?
Evilise.
Ugh.
You know, as far as Thunder Rosa goes, I'd kind of take this as writing on the wall. Just go to WWE, girl. WWE would do so much better for you. You get paid better, and you're not going to have to deal with all these weird clicks in the back. Because that's the other thing too, is everybody's like, oh wow, look how bad CM Punk is. CM Punk. And because the media scrum, and I'm like, yeah, these clicks have been in existence since Cody was around. This was a problem before Cody even left. You know, these weird little clicks and all this other stuff. Like, it's like all of a sudden people forgot about the women fighting in the back. They forgot about, you know, Kingston losing his mind because Sammy Guerrero called him Tubby. You know, it's I don't get it. I don't understand why it's such a toxic place in the back. But at the same time, Thunder Rosa's talented. And if she really is that toxic, and I use my quote fingers, WWE will straighten that shit out right away. Right away. You can't pull that stuff in the WWE locker room.
Oh, hell no. No. They on that as soon as they get the whiff. Shit, they are on that.
Real quick before I oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Julian.
Oh, did he lose his audio?
Yeah, Julian.
No, sorry. This thing was am I back now?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say real quick before I go. Y'all looking forward to the Territories series that's been done on Vice Network?
Yeah, actually, you know, because who is it? Evan Husney, that's one of the producers. I had pitched to him the couple of times that I was talking to him over the years. I said, yo, you got to do something as far as revisiting the territories. And the main thing I kept pitching to him was, you got to do something on Mildred Burke. And he was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, you got to do something on Mildred Burke. And then the last conversation I had with him about Mildred, he said, you know, I got to be honestly, I like it. I would like to do it. I just don't think we'd have the listeners. I just don't think we'd have the viewers' attention, because we're talking some old territory that would almost have to be for an entire different series or a made-for-TV movie or a documentary. I was like, okay. So I'm definitely excited to see where they're going with this, and the fact that Dwayne Johnson's involved. I'm like even more, okay, I'm definitely going to see territories like vintage NWA, all that stuff going on with Mildred Burke and all that. So I'm actually excited. How about you guys?
I'm not even familiar with how deep they're going with the territory stuff. Like, I've only seen it in passing, but yeah, when is that coming out?
Isn't it this fall?
It's coming out October 4th, so in another few weeks. So
awesome.
the episodes I hope to see are some World-Class Championship Wrestling, Continental, IWA, Mid-South, Mid-Atlantic, those kind of territories, and AWA too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sounds
AWA 10 times every day of the week. You give me something on AWA, I'm there. I still have my AWA DVD that WWE had released many years back.
I still got it too.
Yeah, love that shit. Love that shit. Julia, I know you're getting ready to bounce. Plug away, man. Plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Julian Excalibur. They gave me a blue check mark. I never even applied for it. Not that I even give a shit, but yeah. They give me a blue check mark, but I don't care. Also, check out my work on digiday.com, where I cover the marketing industry, and the nocturnal.com, where I cover entertainment, movies, and stuff that's going on in New York City.
Awesome. Awesome. One and only Julian Cannon. Julian, thank you so much, my friend. We'll do this again.
Yes. Peace out. Much love. Hope y'all enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, you too,
Good,
brother.
buddy.
All right now.
Where do you want to go next? I mean, because there's a lot of things obviously going on with the wrestling world. It's that time of year where we're starting to come around. We've got Survivor Series on the way for WWE, and obviously once you hit that, and once we get through Crown Jewel, then it's starting to build up the road to WrestleMania. You get to hit the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. I'm really excited with some of the direction that the company's been taking. I think overall, there's been a lot of good feels coming out of the WWE camp. I see more and more reports lately about all of the talent in the back and the staff in the back have new life breathed into them, like all the way up to Michael Cole and Byron Saxton. Although Corey Graves did have a sad tweet the other day where he was saying he's burnt out and stuff like that. But which goes to my point with the announcers. Let me ask you this, I kind of feel that Byron Saxton is ineffective. Michael Cole seems to be a little bit better, especially now that he doesn't have Vince barking in his ear every 20 seconds. And he seems to be a lot more relaxed. His stuff with Pat McAfee has been fantastic. But as we know, Pat McAfee is now, kind of slotted to doing different things, with the rumors being that he might get back into the game, might get back into the NFL as a kicker, which I hope he goes to the Colts again, because dear God, we need it. But, with people and Corey Graves kind of getting burnt out, do you think it's time that we graduate some new announcers up to the roster, or get some other outside sources? Like, what do you think the announcing situation is? Do you think we should go back from a 3 to a 2 now, or any ideas, thoughts?
Yeah, I've thought about it off and on, and it's interesting. I have this running gag when it comes to commentating. I tell folks, hey, if you want a really good experience when it comes to checking out your wrestling, watch it with the volume on mute, because you're able to pay attention even more to the in-ring action.
Sure.
Because that's what I do. And then I unmute when I need to hear a promo, or where they got the camera on the commentators. Okay, obviously, if it's on the commentators, they're saying something semi-important. Let me hear what they got to say.
Yeah.
And I don't do that when it came to your point. Pat McAfee, Michael Cole, they fucking kill it. They fucking kill it. When it comes to the DYNAMITE broadcasting team, even with the little YouTube stuff, I'm always listening to what they're saying. Every other time, it's on mute. For WWE, they do need to shake it up. I personally feel Corey Graves, give that man some help. Me personally, I think Jimmy Smits is doing just fine.
Okay.
Let him keep doing his thing. Let that remain intact. So I think it's him, Byron Saxton, and Corey Graves, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in regards to Corey Graves, don't have him do SmackDown anymore. Just take him off the road. If anything, if it were up to me, I'd let Corey Graves take a 3 to maybe a 6-month break. Just enjoy himself. Doesn't have to worry about anything. He's going to have his commentating position when he comes back. I would do some guest rotating joints in the meantime. Maybe I would have a wrestler, a WWE Hall of Famer. But as far as a permanent goes, I'm looking at SmackDown. Let it be a 2-man. Let Michael Cole be joined along by Wade Barrett.
Yeah.
I don't understand. He's ready to go. I liked what he was doing in NWA. He seems to be okay in NXT. But he feels more. I can't quite put my finger on him. There's something is off with him in NXT compared to maybe, because how long has he been down there now doing commentary? Like what?
Over a year now. Feels like it. Maybe even 2.
That's what I was about to say, because it feels like maybe the first 6 to 8 months, like you were getting the Wade Barrett that pretty much you got from NWA.
Yeah.
And something along the way and maybe he can kind of find that back, right? Maybe it's a change of scenery. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
But I would put him with Michael Cole. I think the two of them would do good. Or if he's still on your payroll, what's up with Nigel McGuinness?
Yeah, that's another interesting one too, because he's kind of fallen by the wayside. I'm not necessarily sure if he's even with the company. I don't know at this point. It feels like WWE might be coming close to another bus flip too. You know, I do like the idea of Wade coming up to the main roster, though. I've been kind of singing that praise for a while. I was really impressed by the guy. I actually turned Joe around on Wade Barrett when I was showing him Stu Bennett stuff when he was watching the NWA, and it's like, oh yeah, no, he's pretty good. He's like, I can't stand the guy in the ring as a wrestler, but as far as commentary goes, he's not bad. It's like, well, that's good because that's what his job is now, is to do commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him up on the main roster in some facet. You know, it is, if Corey Graves is starting to get burnt out, I think Wade is the guy that you bring in order to be a little bit refreshing, because he's got a unique voice. He's got that gravelly pitch. He almost sounds like a guy that's coming in for a Jesse Ventura role from back in the day. He's obviously not Jesse Ventura, but he carries that stigma with him. Whereas, you know, and I kind of agree with Joe in some ways when he was saying, like, you know, Corey Graves doesn't sound any different than anybody else. He doesn't have a wrestler's voice. He's not a good color guy, you know, and I don't necessarily agree about, you know, his commentary. I think Corey Graves has great commentary, but I do agree with him. His voice isn't special.
Right.
He doesn't have a special voice. He doesn't come off as a guy who sounds like a wrestler. You know, it's like, I love fucking Wade Barrett for that. And I think that, yeah, that's a guy that, you know, you can absolutely bring up to the main roster and people will immediately glom onto him. Kind of like Pat. Pat technically doesn't really have a special voice. But Pat is so boisterous and over the top and so excitable that it doesn't matter, because it's what he's saying and the way he's saying it that actually puts him over with a lot of fans. Michael Cole has been a drumstick for years.
Yes.
For years. And is just bland and vanilla. But all of a sudden, Michael Cole-isms start making more sense when he's sitting next to a guy like Pat, who gets him riled up, who gets him into it. All of a sudden, Michael Cole has actual emotions coming out of him, because Pat's the kind of guy that can draw out laughter and happiness or upset and anger. Like, he's really good at that as a person. So Pat is special, beyond special, to revitalize a guy like Michael Cole's career. So we're in this weird headway, but then you have guys like Byron Saxton, nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
You know, as a person, Byron Saxton is somebody you want to know. As far as an announcer, a color guy goes, he is often a wallflower. He's often completely forgotten about. That's how ineffective he is as an announcer. And you have to wonder when that, and we were talking about I was bringing up the bustle, but you have to wonder when they're going to see that and go, look, Byron, you can be a road agent. You want to be an ambassador. Fantastic. But as far as being a color guy, as far as getting people into the crowd, no, he's just a whipping boy. He's just a guy for people to make fun of. And it's like, ugh, what an awful fucking role you have.
Yeah.
So what do you think? And I'm throwing this out there, but what would you think about a female third host? And I'm not talking about Beth Phoenix, but in general.
I welcome it. And so as long as they have the respected qualifications, it's funny you mentioned that too. And I definitely want to get your thoughts about the WoW season premiere, because AJ Lee Mendez, she fucking crushed it.
Oh, I didn't see it. I told you my timing was off. Yeah.
She crushed it. She fucking crushed it. It's interesting too, because I had hit up WoW on their social media and I was like, hey, what's going on with making the episodes available next day for people that either miss it or don't have cable or satellite? And they had said to me, oh, no problem, we're gonna be working on. Matter of fact, I got their direct tweet, I'm looking at it right now. They said, don't worry, we got you. For those without conventional cable services, we'll be rolling them out to our YouTube, and they'll be streaming services, all of them very soon after their TV drop. Stick with us for details. And then I had one of the wrestlers actually private message me and said, yeah, it's like, you're not going to have to wait that long. It's going to be available in like a day or so. It's like, just hang tight. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So that's nice. But she fucking crushed it. I like the idea of a female color commentator. I do. It's interesting because now I'm kind of, that you said that, you know, like who? And I thought Lita was kind of coming along, but she still had a lot of work ahead of her. Renee Young finally started to find her stride. I don't care how anybody may feel, but I personally felt that as she was on her way out the door, it's like, wow, where was this Renee the whole time? Like, what the hell here?
Renee's a weird one because I really was one of those guys. I was not a fan of Renee on Color, but Renee is an absolutely a wonderful host. You know, from her show to going back to Talking Smack to even her own little sideshow that she did in the back of WWE. As far as hosting goes with like one-on-one or two-on-one, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
But as far as calling the action in the ring, as far as peppering in information, she's not good at that. That's just not her role. I mean, just because you're good behind the mic or you sound good behind the mic doesn't automatically make you an everyman. It doesn't make you a jack of all trades. So Renee is situational. You know, she's good in some scenarios, not good in others. I didn't even mind her when she was doing the Fox thing. You know, I thought she was okay in that role as well. So, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there's just different types of jobs that some people are better at than others. And Renee is, sadly, she wasn't a good, you know, play-by-play. She wasn't a good call as far as the announcing team went. But I think as far as talent goes, is doing interviews and stuff like that, girl's gangbusters. She's great. When it comes to women, you know, I try to sit there and think of who would I actually bring in to fill that role, to be that third person as a woman. I'm not sure. I think you'd almost have to go a little bit old school. You'd have to pull in somebody that can talk nonstop, like an Ivory. An Ivory is a good one. I'd like to see them put in Medusa, especially with their book coming out and stuff like that too. But Ivory's a good one because she can just, I don't want to say ramble, but she can keep talking like nonstop. Like as soon as you ask her a question, she's got an answer. Like there's different types of interviews and interviewees and everything else like that too, where there are some people that can just talk and talk and talk. And then there's some people that need to be asked a question and need to be acknowledged. They need to be addressed in order for them to give you any kind of a feedback. You know, and I think most people are like that. They need to be addressed in order to give feedback. But there's a contingent of people that are special, especially in wrestling, that can't sit there and carry a story by themselves, that can do the solo stuff, you know? So as far as women go, I would love to see an Ivory. I know I can imagine that there's a lot of women that people would like to see, like a Molly Holly, but Molly Holly is so quiet. You know what I mean? Wonderful person, wonderful talent, great legend, you know, as far as women's wrestling goes, but she's not a big talker. She's not a big time talker. Lita, you know, Lita felt forced. I know back in the day, what did she used to host? Shotgun Saturday Night. I know she did Heat for a little while too.
Yeah.
You know, but Lita was, she's not great. You know, I know she's a front woman for a band and everything else like that. And you would expect that kind of, you know, enthusiasm out of her, but she never wowed me, man.
Let me throw a wild card at you. What about Trish?
Quiet. She's another quiet person. Like even when she was out on TV the other day, she just doesn't have, she has good promos, right? So she knows how to talk. She knows what to say. She's very intelligent, but she's not a loud talker. When you want an announcer that captures people, you want somebody that can talk over other people. You want somebody that can be boisterous. You want somebody to draw. You want them almost to be annoyingly loud, but not too annoyingly loud. You know what I mean? It's like there's like a little gap where you want before they become irritating.
I got the perfect one for you then.
Shoot.
ODB.
Yeah, ODB is loud, but you know what? I don't know how she talks in interviews. I don't know how she talks in long form. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, ODB definitely got the chops. I mean, as far as getting people's attention, absolutely. But can she carry a tune? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I've seen a few interviews here and there. Now that I'm saying that, I got to go back and I got to see what's going on as far as the long format. But I totally would be down for it. Yeah. Now, where do we go from here? Interesting. I like that. I'm still like thinking about that. You stumped me. Yeah, that's a good one. That's actually a pretty damn good one.
It's fun because you know that, especially now, there's going to be a lot more emphasis on the women's talent, especially WWE, or at least you would think so. Now that Stephanie has some kind of control, because Stephanie was big into that. And I mean, not to really attach it to AJ Lee, but I mean, it was because of AJ Lee and her interaction with Stephanie that kind of started the women's revolution, kind of got rid of the Divas belt and everything else like that. So I would think that, you know, in that same vein, WWE, especially underneath Stephanie, is probably focused on more women's talent. And I like some of the people that they brought up. I think that the story direction needs to be fixed. I love Io Sky. I just think that this damage control is wonky nonsense. Love Gonzalez, don't like Aaliyah. Like there's a lot of changes that are going on. But you know what? At the same time, it's kind of like I still think it's growing pains. You know, Alexa Bliss is out there, but thank God Alexa Bliss isn't doing all the corny, wacky stuff that she was doing last year. You know, she's a lot more dialed back. You know, Carmella's been off of TV forever, which is a good thing for a lot of us. Dana Brooke has kind of been put on as a wallflower, which is good for a lot of us. And it's so weird, too, because it's this mixture of WWE wants women to succeed. And they have talented women that can do some amazing matches and have had amazing matches. And then they have a lot of women that are promoted, that are pushed, and you're just kind of like, why? I don't understand. I don't see them. Like maybe they're amazing people in the back. You know what I mean? That's usually what I think of. And I know that's probably a very simple way to think of it, but I look at some people that are just having average at best matches, at best average. And I'm just going, they're there because they have a good personality, which is great for like team locker room, rah stuff. And that's fantastic. But as far as giving the fans what they want, we don't get those Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey matches. You know, we don't get these iconic matches. They need to find the breakdown. And, you know, that's one of the other things too, is a lot of these girls that come up, especially from NXT or NXT UK, they don't wrestle the same when they get to WWE. Right. You know, Sasha is a really weird case too. I mean, if you want to talk about that, there's still the, I don't even know. Can I legally say rumors?
Go for it.
Oh, well, you know about that whole thing, right?
What's that?
You can't say the word rumor anymore.
So, says who?
It says Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is starting to do it. So if you use the word rumor, I guess they're trying to delete it, or they're actually deleting. Yeah, no, this is where we are. I don't know what YouTube's doing, but I'm just saying. Oh, anyways, so the rumors of Sasha Banks coming back is still obviously on the table. And obviously she just did the runway thing. She supposedly has some kind of big deal coming out, you know, that isn't just a podcast. So I don't know what that is, maybe an audio book. But she has all of her connections. Mandalorian will be knocking on her door anytime soon too. And Sasha Banks matches have been awful for a very long time. And I think a lot of people are stuck with nostalgia for Sasha, as opposed to realizing that, you know, she's not in any place that's going to help the company. You know, maybe as being a larger than life ego, she helps the company for the fans that like her. But as far as her in-ring talent, I don't even think she's capable of giving somebody a good match anymore. And that's a sad thing. That's exactly what you don't want, you know? And I think Sasha Banks overall, she had good moments. So not to just straight shit on Sasha, but when she came back from doing the Mandalorian and she was given stunt work and she was given training lessons on how to act and stuff like that, I remember openly praising how well she's come back from Disney. I was amazed that when she was all blue everything, when she looked like a Smurf out there, she was doing fantastic. She was having good matches. She was emoting. It was like it was a completely different Sasha Banks. And then time got on, she got lazy, and then her matches became missing, you know, half of her strikes, and people are still praising her as like this great athlete. I'm like, no, she's situational. She's bad Randy Orton. You know what I mean? Randy Orton, there was a while there where Randy Orton was just stinking up everywhere he went. You know, unless you were a legend, he wasn't giving you a good match. Right. And I think that's where Sasha's at. She's got that prima donna attitude. Now, on the flip side, Naomi needs to get off Sasha's tail and come back. You know, I brought up the situation, and let me know what you think of this. I think if Sasha or if Naomi came back and joined the bloodline, I think it would be good to keep her as a babyface. And the reason being is that her entire family are heels. Everybody she's surrounded with is a heel, but she's the reluctant wife. She's the troubled wife that literally watches her husband do bad things. And I'm like, that could be such an interesting storyline, especially when Roman would direct her to do something or hit somebody after the, you know what I mean? After the 3 count with like an illegal object or something, you know, like there's all of these little storylines that could breed from Naomi being a part of the bloodline. And it's like, I'm more interested in WWE picking Naomi back up over Sasha. What do you think?
I love that idea. And the best part about that, as we've seen with the calling card from WWE, they stay having these female superstars get physical with the men, as it should be. So I am just picturing in my head automatically scenarios where Roman is so upset and he's pretty much looking at his boy, handle her, Oos, right?
Right.
I could just see that. And she's like, what? You know, this is wrong. Like, you know, this is wrong. And I can just see her smacking him up and all that, to the point Roman goes, okay, either you handle this or I will. And you're going, what the hell does that mean?
Right.
And then boom, you can bring in Tamina.
You're bringing a lot of people, man. There's so many ways to do this. So yeah, you have Tamina sitting there.
Yeah.
Going, girl, you don't need this. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? You know, like, yeah, you can absolutely pepper people in. And even though it's not going to probably not move like a ton of new Naomi merch, at the same time, you're building intrigue in the biggest act in the company right now.
Yeah.
No, I like what they've been doing, man. And I know everybody's praising AEW for what they're doing. And even you guys earlier were saying that the numbers are good over there. And I'm saying, for as much hype as AEW got from this scrum and all this other stuff, those numbers are pathetic. Those numbers are pathetic. Yeah, they did a 1.1, greatest since October. That's fantastic for them. It's not, though. With the level of mainstream media that they got from this falling out, I mean, they were covered in Sports Illustrated. I think even ESPN had something on them. Like, they were making coverage, global coverage, and all they could squeak out is 100,000 new people. 200,000 new people. That's not good, man. That's to me. If WWE did that, if you had a falling out during a media scrum with let's say somebody like a Triple H, they'd probably get a whole point. They'd probably get a whole point, at least for the night. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
All right. So as our time gets to wind down here, I definitely want to give Mitch the floor, an opportunity to plug away and all that good stuff. So take it away, brother.
Much love, Lee. Thanks for having me on. Much love to Julian Cannon as well. Wrestling Soup. You guys can find us every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, and on Sundays or Saturdays following either AEW or WWE pay-per-views. We're doing live streams in our Discord, discord.gg/wrestling soup. And then we're also doing live video streams on YouTube for post pay-per-view events. So that's a new thing that we're actually venturing out into. So, but yeah, man, thanks for having us on WrestlingSoup.com. Much love, dude.
Much love, man. Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup. Once again, shout out to Julian Cannon of Wrestling Court. If you guys would like to see us do this some more, definitely sound off. Let us know all throughout social media. And until next go round, we're wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. And we'll see you guys next go round. Y'all take care.
Peace.